Hey everybody, this is Pop That Corn 14 representing LSS Levels. Today we're going to be tackling Hero's Guide to Level Making Volume 1, which is by Hero Brian Sword. So he sent out something on Discord letting people know if they want to playtest this level, and this honestly piqued my interest because back on Level Palace, I made 3 different tutorial levels. Now this was back in SMF, so this does not apply to SMC. So this level in particular has a lot of text, so instead of just doing gameplay footage, I feel it's wise to add some commentary to it, and I'll kind of give some pointers along the way. So, if anybody out there is just trying to struggle out and make a good level or something like that, hopefully my advice should be able to help you too. So, anyway, so description reads, the volume focuses on general level making tips and tricks. I'll primarily focus on traditional levels as they're the backbone of every Mario level editor. So other volumes covering style exclusive sips and boss suggestions will come after the upcoming 100 rank special. So he plans to do more. So if, look elsewhere if you're looking for Kaizo tricks or whatever. Guys, wouldn't it be funny if I did a face cam during my commentary videos? I don't know. I might consider it in the future. For now, it'll be live stream exclusive. So just general level making tips and tricks if you guys are curious. And also, guys, I might consider doing my own full-fledged tutorial level probably when V8 finishes. I'm definitely not going to do it now because there's just so much on my plate. So, welcome. This volume focus on the basics, so, traditional levels and how they're made. So if you are curious about that, then what is this? Letterboxing. So to get a resolution akin to the CTR era Mario games in a one-screen area, place 5 columns and tiles on each end of the map, and then you're still here, it's over. Fine, there's a hidden Tanuki atop the pillar in this room. Don't mind if I do. Oh, you can get up there normally. Oh my god, dude. I'm failing this pretty badly. Okay, there we go. Okay, then that just takes us normally. So, start points. So, it's best to spawn the player in either a safe spot or far enough away from an enemy to react. So, you don't want to have something that's just instant, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I'm not going to read over all this since it's a lot, but if you guys are curious, you can pause the video or just mute me or whatever. Do whatever you want. So, yeah, and leg's also an important factor to consider too when loading up a level, because it's not going to be the same for everybody, right? I missed that. So I guess that's how you get that 1-up up there. I was actually wondering how you got that. And then structure, it's usually advised to split your level into at least two. I don't think this part's necessarily accurate. I think you can do whatever you want. So what he's saying is basically introduce the challenge and build upon it, and then make it gradually increase in difficulty, which it's a fair approach, but this doesn't apply to every single level. So, and then he's saying in the second act you can add a twist to it, and then you can go from there. So that's one way to approach a level, but I wouldn't restrict it to just that. So if anybody is keeping that in mind or curious. So for power-ups, you can use basically use whatever you want. You can use however much you'd like to, but typically it's best not to overload it. And that goes for pretty much anything in SMC, or not just SMC, but any of the games that LSS supports, or just any games in general, you know what I mean? So he's saying here that it's best to make optional or mini challenges for player to get a power-up. That's also true, but again, you don't have to do it for every single power-up. That's just, it definitely helps, especially if you're going to give a power-up that's overpowered to the level gimmick or like theme of the level, then it's typically advised to do something like that. But it's usually not recommended for most traditional levels. I feel like for most traditional levels, if you do provide an extra sort of challenge, that's nice, but you don't really want to go overboard with a lot of things. Especially because consistency and difficulty is a very hard thing to pull off, and you don't want to have some Kaizo trick in like a normal level. You know what I'm saying? So there's a ton of ways to hide your secrets, and they can range from puzzles, power-ups, backtracking, Banjo-Tooie, just anything to get to it, right? So it's advised not to put them in the way of jump pits, like when you're using invisible blocks, and also not when you're... Another thing too is if you're trying to put invisible blocks, don't put it in the way of the player itself if they're trying to traverse. Oh, that thing fell there. That's funny. Oh, wait, he drops another one. Oh, no, 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 that just fell, that just fell. Okay, I was about to say, what? Cool, alright. I'm gonna let the music run out before I hit this. There you go. Because this music banger, let's be real here. Anyway, so enemies, it's recommended to come up with set palette. Again, you can do whatever you want here. Palettes aren't necessary, but they do help the level look better. So there's fodders. He's talking about 3 main categories, like fodders, the moderates, and the elites. Okay. Keep your fodders high. Oh, is he talking about like common enemies? I guess he's talking. Excuse me, talking about that. I guess it really just depends, honestly. Sorry, Hero Brian, I don't 100% agree with you on everything here, but that's alright, that's alright. There's a secret down there. You can't go back, can you? I just want to make sure. I really don't think you should. I mean, yeah, you definitely do want to limit enemy placement in terms of, you know, we don't want it to overload, but I don't think it's fair to assess it based off category, because let's say you want to have boom booms, which I guess would be like a quote-unquote elite, as Hero Brian says. What if you want to have that as like a challenge? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I mean, we can agree to disagree. It's just everybody has a different approach when it comes to level making, and what we see here from Hero Brian's level clearly shows that. So, checkpoints. So, same suggestions as starting your level, put the player in a safest area. That's true. I do agree with him here. But power-ups, it's not always necessary to do that, especially if you have a Kaizo level or something like that. It does definitely help. I think one issue I see with checkpoints is that oftentimes players will give mushrooms for checkpoints. They won't really do anything, they'll just place it down, but then they won't even compensate with, you know, another mushroom or something like that when it's close. So oftentimes what happens is when you die, you don't even get a power-up, so you have to rely on it the first time. This is a bit inconsistent with its pacing, and when I try to make levels, I try to address this issue, and, you know, it's not something that's ideal to see, so. Again, he's talking about boss fights there. It's really whatever. We might miss a few secrets in this level, knowing Hero Brian. Hero Brian's really good with his secrets, so. Oh, actually, wait. We might get that there. So, cheese. So, not to be confused by Wallace's favorite. Okay, that's good. That's good. I've actually seen the movie for that. It's pretty good. So, you can see cheese. You can do 2 things. You can either try to block it off, or you can give the player a reward. So, a cheesy Yoshi. Does that mean Yoshi's gonna be yellow? Is that a dragon coin? Hold on. They really need to update the present on that, because it's not clear it's a dragon coin. Dragon coins, also known as mushroom coins in the style, are optional collectibles. Once all of them are collected, you'll get a 1-up. And also, they're just fun to collect. Let's be real here. So, some of the dragon coins are freebies, though it's better to lock them behind optional challenges, as it'll feel a lot more rewarding. That's true. Wait, you can kill the Lotus like that? I didn't know that. Okay. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Okay. Yeah, looking at this level, I definitely want to make my own tutorial level at some point. I think I could cover a lot. Especially because of my viewpoint, it's like, it's being able to express my viewpoint so people can understand, you know? So, cutoffs are basically the bane of every SMC level creator. They're tiling that doesn't connect to anything. And also, it's just clashes with the theme when you think about it too. So, oftentimes, if you see tiling errors or cutoffs in somebody's review, or if you see somebody mention that, usually refers to that. So if you're confused as to what that means, you can always reach out to any of us and we'll help you understand what it means a little better. But typically you want to try to avoid them. I don't think the ice flower works on Chucks. One-time enemies. So they're fine as long as they're infrequent. They can be used to throw curveball at the player in a level or as a secret challenge. I guess that's true, especially if you're using a mushroom coin secret or something like that, or you're just taking the player to a different section, which spikes the difficulty and it's rewarding. So I feel like if you're gonna spike the difficulty, you should at least do it in a way that's rewarding to the player. You don't want it to ruin the flow of the level. And I think that's the important thing too. This is something I say a lot when I'm reviewing levels or when I'm commentating. I say flow, I say consistency, I say pacing. But you guys don't understand. That is very important to a level. If you can't have proper consistency, if it's not cohesive, then for me it's a problem because it shows that the level can't be consistent enough with its, it could be difficulty, it could be theme, it could be the way it transitions. It all just depends. So you can see that your character without the aid of movement can jump. Yeah. It's talking about exact movement if you're curious. Oh, wow. I didn't hold the jump button there. That's funny. I was trying to rush through that, so I don't have my power up. So, difficulty. If you're unsure about a level's difficulty, you can either have another person playtest it or listen to above what you think it is. Oh yeah, speaking of which, there is something that this tutorial level doesn't do, and I'll get into it in a minute if I remember, so. Are we rolling? Okay, remember to always playtest your... Yeah, guys, seriously. This is very important advice. Play test your levels. Seriously. You need to know what your level's like. You need to be able to understand how to get from start to finish on your own. And it never hurts to have other people play test it either. So that way they can see what's going up with it. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is the end of the level, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, cool. So flags and goals. When add a flagpole or goal tape at the end of the level, try adding a mini challenge to reach the top. This is not necessary. This is just if you want to do it, okay? So, anyway. So, yeah, staircase or secret route. It's really whatever. You can also build it up, too. You could have, like, your gimmick that you use throughout the level or whatever. Or if you have anything in that mind. Again, not every level needs to have a gimmick to it. If you're focusing on a traditional level, then especially you don't need to worry about gimmicks. You just, focus on whatever you want to do. And that should never be expected either. So, there's one problem with this level that I have. Oh, I guess you can get over there. Hold on, let me try that. So, guys, one problem I have with this level, and it's nothing really against what Herobrine's doing. It's more just, oh, I feel like this level could be better if it had this element. You kind of don't understand what's going on if you have a lot of text thrown at you. You really need to engage the player with what's right and what's wrong. So when I made tutorial levels back on Level Palace, I made a right and wrong situation. So right just shows you, oh, this is acceptable. Wrong just shows you, oh, you don't want to do this. So you want to engage the player with what's wrong because they're not going to understand if you just throw text at them. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. I think it's really a good idea if I do a tutorial level at some point or if somebody does that, and I think they include that sort of element because that way it shows you and it also shows the player, oh, that's how you do it. Instead of just throwing a lot of text. Again, nothing against how Herobrine's done it here. It's just, it kind of just, you don't have that proper understanding as a result because you're not able to connect with the player as much. It appears there's a warp here. Oh, I did not mean to hit that. And I guess it takes you here. I'm pretty sure you need the Tanuki to get there, which I kind of don't feel like doing. At least not at the second. So I guess it just takes you there. And then you go back to here, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is the new section, okay. Okay, so I actually was playtesting just because I just want to see what this is like, but apparently if you do it like this... Dude, I barely made that when I did that. I'm now dying when I show it off. I swear, guys, I made this. See? I made that. I'm not even kidding. Anyway, let's see what this says. 1-up chains. So 1-up chains can be made by placing 9 or more enemies in a row. If the players craft... Dude, why didn't you put that up there? Come on, I feel like that's also important information to know. Okay, because like if you have a shell up there, like wouldn't that be important to know? Anyway. All in all, this isn't really a bad approach, but it has its fair share of flaws, and I think the one thing that I'm not really a big fan of with this level is just the fact that Herobrine has his own ways, and oftentimes his messages just feel like they're forcing you to stick to his ways. So I just want people to understand, by people I mean anybody that's trying to make a level, Hero Brian's ways are not 100% accurate, and I just want you guys to keep that in mind. There's very specific things he brought up, like different enemy types, how you place checkpoints and all that. It's very important to know all that, sure, but just the way he words it here, it's not exactly accurate. And I just don't think you need to adhere to everything that's said in this level. And another issue I have with this level too is just it doesn't really connect as well with each point. Now again, this is still a really solid level with what it presents itself with, but it's lacking a lot. Again, I know he's doing volumes. That doesn't excuse it. It's just if you're gonna offer points like basic level points, secrets, dragon coins, whatever, what you want to do is you want to engage the player with that instead of just having text box left and right. That's kind of why I wanted to speak over this video in the first place. So it's just many things just aren't really clear as a result. It feels like you have to stick to this way or else, which I just want people to realize that's not the case. Level making is your canvas and you are the paintbrush, so you can do whatever you want when you come to making a level. If you want to make the worst level in the world, do that. You don't need to adhere to all these specific standards, but if you do want to make a level that shines, then it typically is advised to do this. So you really have to keep that in mind, right? The SMB1 factory music sounds like something you hear in a tutorial level. True. I mean, maybe. Although personally, I would use when I made tutorial levels on LP, I did the Partners in Time, the intro music when they have you introduce like new tools or whatever, or new moves. All in all here, Brian, I am going to have to give this one a 3.5 out of 5. This level isn't really anything too spectacular on its own, and I feel like your main driving force is kind of lacking as a result. So that's why I can't really see myself getting this a higher score, because I do understand the points you're trying to make with this level, but I feel as if there's a better approach to doing this, and especially the theme you've chosen here. It doesn't really offer the best connection to the player. I think personally, if you're going to go for a tutorial level of this sort, I think using a bonus theme or something like that, and then having themes that you can connect the player with a little better, it'd be like, oh, so here's your themes, here's how you want to design this, here's how you not want to design this. So this level doesn't really connect as a result because of that. It does offer some really good points, but not everything you bring up is accurate when it comes to level making. Again, I'm gonna say this. I'll just say this, so because I keep repeating the same points. A lot of your points are accurate. I will give you credit where it's due there. You know, Pacing. That's something I find very important in levels. Dragon coins, how you place them. Enemies, how you place them. The main underlying message is you don't want to overload things, and you also want to make sure that things just flow nice. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, so I don't repeat the same points 10 more times, which I've already repeated a lot. I think we're just going to call the video here. So guys, this was Hero's Guide to Level Making Volume 1 by Hero Brian Sword. This is a set of tutorial levels that he plans to do, and I'll probably commentate more of them in the future. So anyway, guys, Pop That Corn 14 representing LSS level signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See you guys.